So here's the big question. How are entrepreneurs like us, who have been hustling and struggling to make it to success, who seem to make it one step forward only to fall two steps back, who are dedicated, determined, and driven? How do we finally break through and win? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brian Kelly, and this is the Mind, Body, Business Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mind, Body, Business Show. I say this every week, and I mean it. We have another phenomenal show lined up for you tonight. I cannot wait to bring on this young man. He is crushing it in the business field, in podcasting, in digital learning and courses. I mean, this guy is someone you want to literally sit down right now and get out your note paper and get ready, your notepad, get a pen, and be ready to take notes, because you don't want to miss one golden nugget of this very experienced veteran of entrepreneurship. And it's going to be fun. The Mind, Body, Business Show. What is that all about? That is about the 3 pillars of success. And that came about as a result of my studying only successful people in over the past decade or so. And what I began seeing were patterns of only, these are just successful people. I'm trying to why are these people so successful? And why am I struggling? And I wanted to find out, deep curiosity. And I just noticed all these patterns, these 3 patterns just kept bubbling up to the top. First being mind. And that is, they all have a very powerful and, most importantly, flexible mindset. And because of that, that's the foundation of all success I have learned since studying these wonderful, amazing individuals. We're talking about personal mentors of mine. We're talking about authors that either I know personally or those that I've never met and they're no longer with us. There are successful people across the board that I've studied that had these traits. And then body. They all take care of their body. They eat and drink nourishing food and drink, and they also exercise on a regular basis. It doesn't mean they go to the gym 5, 6, 7 days a week. Some do, but it doesn't mean you have to in order to achieve success. It just means doing it on a routine basis, continually doing it. And then there's business. Wow, that's a multifaceted whole category, where that includes things like marketing, sales, team building, systematizing, leadership. I could go on for quite some time. The really cool thing is the guest you are about to meet, Tracy Brinkmann, is an absolute expert when it comes in the area of business. He is an actual business and success coach, and you don't coach something unless you know it. And he knows it. So I cannot wait to bring him on. And another wonderful trait of highly successful people is, to a person, I found they were all very avid and voracious readers. And with that, I'd like to segue really quickly over to a segment I affectionately call Bookmarks.
Bookmarks. Born to read. Bookmarks. Ready, steady, read. Bookmarks. Brought to you by reachyourpeaklibrary.com.
Yes, reachyourpeaklibrary.com. There you see it off to the side. And real quick, just a quick note. Whatever you're doing right now, get a piece of paper and a pen, or open up a notepad on your PC, and whatever that equivalent is on a Mac, whatever it is for note taking. Instead of clicking away and going and looking or perusing on other things on your browser, stay with us. You're going to get a lot of resources during this show, like reachyourpeaklibrary.com is one example. Write that down and then visit it later after the show is over, because I'd really hate for you to miss one golden nugget that Mr. Brinkmann is bringing to us tonight. And he's coming on right after this. So real quick, the reachyourpeaklibrary.com. What is that? It is a website I put together. I had my team put this together with you in mind. And you might go, yeah, sure, Brian. I kid you not. I didn't do this for me. I have already read every book in this library. And what I wanted to do was share these books with you. Now, these are only the books that had profound effect on me, either personally or in business, mostly business. And only those that had a profound effect on me or impact are included in this list. So what does that mean? Not every book is in here that I've ever read, of course. So now if you're looking for that next great read, at least you can rest assured that one other successful person has vetted every book in here. And the odds of you not wasting your time reading a book that you're unsure of are greatly diminished. So Reach Your Peak Library, that is here. That is literally my gift to all entrepreneurs, anyone looking to become an entrepreneur, period. And so I hope you enjoy that. Speaking of enjoying, it's time to bring on our wonderful guest expert. Here we go.
It's time for the Guest Expert Spotlight. Savvy, skillful, professional, adept, trained, big league, qualified.
And there he is, ladies and gentlemen. That's him, the one, the only, Tracy Brinkmann. How are you doing, my buddy?
Good, Brian. How about you doing?
Woo! Oh, my goodness. I'm doing great. Now, Tracy had me on his podcast, and it's an amazing podcast that we're going to talk about. He's a Dark Horse Entrepreneurs. It's amazing, and I probably messed the name up. Driven Dark Horse Entrepreneur is kind of his thing. I love Dark Horse Entrepreneur. It's such a great, catchy phrase. Before I formally introduce this amazing gentleman, real quick, for those of you that stay on to the end of the show, all the way to the end, watching it live, you will get a chance to win a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort, all compliments of our wonderful sponsors. You see them up there on the right-hand corner of your screen if you're watching, and that is the Big Insider Secrets. You can locate them at thebiginsidersecrets.com. Stay with us to the end, and you can win a 5-night stay. So be sure to do that. Now to introduce this amazing gentleman, formally give him the respect that he deserves. From hitting the rock bottom of drugs, divorce, bankruptcy, and even the death of an 18-month-old daughter, my God, to running the planning and marketing of some of corporate America's finest companies, to his own company, helping small business owners to be seen, and now his own podcast focused on driven dark horse entrepreneurs. Tracy Brinkmann, this man right here, is also a business and success coach that realizes life isn't fair and participation awards do not feed your family or your drive to succeed. Oh, I love that. This driven dark horse entrepreneur right here is looking to share all that he has learned and is still learning about starting, restarting, kickstarting, and stepping up your entrepreneurial game, all while not ignoring that amazing tool between your ears. Ooh, I love it. Powerful, powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Tracy Brinkmann is now officially in the house. Yes.
Thanks so much.
How you doing this evening, my buddy?
Good, man. How about you?
I am living the dream right now because I have Mr. Tracy Brinkmann on my show right here, right now.
You humble me.
The dark horse entrepreneur himself is on this show, and it's an exciting time. Exciting time. Yes, Toya, Glenn, already they're coming in. How are you doing, Toya? It's very nice to see you. Toya was on a show of mine some time ago as a panelist. She was phenomenal. So great to see you, Toya.
How you doing?
Yes. So, Tracy, one of the things I love to do is, the bio speaks volumes of all my guests, you included. And I love it. It gives us a kind of a glimpse into your accomplishments, your experience, your background, your trials in some case. My gosh, you went through some horrible ones there. What I like to do is dig a little deeper and kind of go into that big, beautiful brain of yours and really find out it's beautiful. It's beautiful and it's powerful. Want to find out what is it that really sets you apart, that gets you that level of success that so many others are striving to achieve. That's the whole purpose of this show. It's for entrepreneurs, and they get to listen to people like you and just say, all I have to do is copy. All I have to do is model what Tracy does. And, it's going to take work, but at least if I have a recipe that's proven, all I have to do is follow it. So for you, Tracy, when you get up in the morning, knowing that being an entrepreneur is not just a cakewalk that so many people think, that there are challenges that are in front of us every single day. What is it that's going on in your mind when you get up and the days ahead of you and you're feeling that drive to go forward and crush it yet again? What is it for you?
Yeah, what is it that's I think when I get up, really, it's all about what is it I want to get done today, right? One of the things I like to do right in the beginning of the week is figure out one of the 1, 2, and usually maximum of 3 things that I need to get accomplished. Well, that I want to get accomplished during the course of that week. And that way, when I reflect back on Friday, because back on Fridays is usually when I go back and say, okay, how did I do this week? And if I got those 1, 2, or 3 things done, I'm like, I'm the man. Right? And if not, then it's right. Then it's you reflect a little deeper and you think, okay, where did I stumble, bumble, fall, trip, faceplant, whatever happened? Because really it's not failure at that point, and it's more feedback, right? You tried something or you didn't try something. Well, if you tried it and it didn't work, well, why didn't it work? And then you start reviewing that and say, okay, well, I know not to do A, B, or C. Let me try D, E, F. And then if you didn't try it, what, did you overestimate what something you could get done? And so it really is all about figuring out the big rocks you want to get done during the course of the week, and then at the end of the week re-reflecting, and then if you can break those down, I think, into the daily action steps, then you're like, okay, Monday I got to get this done, Tuesday I got to do that. Now if you get ahead of the game, rock on. If you start falling behind, then you're getting that feedback a little bit faster.
And see, I love how you frame that, where where am I stumbling, where are the things not going right, and you said that's not necessarily failure, it's feedback. And right. I think this is key, and I want to really drive this home for everyone watching that is listening out there on either on the podcast or live with us here on video. And that is that it's not failure, it's feedback. Willie Jolly, a really incredible author, said a setback is a setup for a comeback. I love that.
Man. See, I love that.
That epitomizes the successful entrepreneur mindset and attitude, like you have, Tracy, just in different words than you just stated. And I just really want this to set deep in everyone's mind that this is key. One of the main keys of success is, people that aren't of entrepreneurial mindset yet, they go through something, they fail, and it's catastrophic, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, it's either a 1 or it's a 0. There's no in between.
Right.
I either failed or I succeeded. And typically, most often, they're going to hit failure because they're just starting. And entrepreneurship is not as easy as some would want you to think. And you're going to fail many, many times. And so just be okay with doing that and get up and get over it. So I appreciate you bringing that up. That was so powerful. And I had to give it a few moments just to sink in with everybody.
Absolutely.
In the beginning, I talked about the importance of reading. And for me personally, it became a godsend. I didn't start reading until, just over a decade ago. It was ridiculous. And then I became a voracious reader, and I'm like, wow, what was I missing? This is amazing. Right. Would you consider yourself to also be an avid reader, Tracy?
I don't know if the adjective is avid. I'm definitely a reader. I know shortly you mentioned during the bio the loss of my daughter, and shortly after that, I threw myself into personal development world, self-improvement, and voracious is probably the adjective I'd use then. I think more of late I've shifted to Audible, right, is my tool of choice. So it's gone from reading to listening, so I can multitask. So definitely still in the learning process. You can't see it behind me, but I have a couple of big old bookcases full of the books that I did read. And absolutely, it's definitely a tool to flatten those learning curves, to, literally stand on the shoulders of giants, to use another quote from people far smarter than I, that you can learn a lot from a book and go, oh my gosh, I'm glad I learned that now, rather than, again, tripping and falling on your face and then learning it.
We are so alike in so many ways, because I had a similar thought originally, because the only reason I began reading a little over 10 years ago was because of Audible. And so I call it reading, even though I'm listening. And so I give you permission to call it reading, and you are an avid reader.
Okay. Absolutely.
And it is weird. It is weird because you're not like reading to me is looking at something and crossing this page with your eyes and scanning. But I came to grips and I said, I'm reading. Come on, I'm putting the time in. We all absorb information in different ways, better in different ways as humans. Some do it visually, some do it through video, some do it through reading, some do it through Audible. And I just didn't know it, but Audible was the way to go. And I could not read very long without getting tired and irritated with my eyes and all that good stuff. So thank God for Audible. I love it.
Right. And you're probably maybe you're probably a little younger than I am, but you definitely remember, books on tape, right? So
Oh yeah.
all the big guys that we used to listen to, right? You know, the Zig Ziglars, the Jim Rohns. You had the 6-tape cassette, or later on it was the CDs, and you were like, I'm listening to this one over and over again. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So there are many. You've got a lot of experience. You've been around a while in the entrepreneur space, and I'm sure by this point you have developed. You had to have to become successful some skill sets that were necessary for you to achieve the level of success you have today.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to pinpoint a couple, let's say three of the
Sure.
top skill sets that you currently have right now. You don't need to go back to the beginning, but
Sure.
what are the three skills that you currently possess, or even you could say one that you're currently trying to master still, but you use it as part of your success formula? What are those three skill sets, your go-to skill sets right now, so others can listen and go, oh, maybe I need to focus on those?
Absolutely. I think the number one skill set is clarity, right? And everyone's going to go, oh, God. No. And what I mean when I say clarity is, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, really, you're going to be serving people. And to serve someone, you got to know them. So you're going to have to get clear on the person that you're serving and the problem that you're going to solve for them, right? So it's not like, oh, hey, Mr. Businessman, can I come in here and help you? He's going to be like, please, right? But if you go in there and say, watching you, and I saw that every time someone bought this, you never ever offered them that. And I know from experience that 5, 6, 7, 8 times out of 10, someone that buys this piece of cloth probably also needs the frame that for after they paint that cloth to hang it up and put it up on their wall, right? And the businessman's going to go, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? So it's having that clarity of who it is you want to serve and the problem that you can solve for them. Then once you know that problem, it's just about creating that solution and presenting it to them.
Love it. Caught me writing notes.
That's okay. I can go on.
Yes, I bet you could. Yeah, and I would love it. This show is about Tracy Brinkmann, because I love to bring on highly successful entrepreneurs such as him, because I am the luckiest guy on the planet. I love what I get to do because I have learned so much from people like you, Tracy. I cannot tell you. And here's one key for everyone listening, though. It's great to learn things. It's awesome. It's great to read books. But if you don't do one thing after you've learned it, then it's not really going to help you much. And that is just implement it. Do it.
Yeah.
There are 3 phases. There's learn, there's do, there's teach. And at least hit the do. When you teach, you then learn it at a much deeper level, and it will be ingrained in you forever. And you
Absolutely.
continue to learn and improve as well. But please, as you listen and take notes on what Tracy is telling you and helping you and advising you, be sure the next day to start taking action on all of these incredible tips that he's given for success. And given that, you meant, or I know that you are a business coach, a success coach. Mm-hmm. And what is your target market? What's your ideal client in that area? Is it entrepreneurs, solopreneurs? Is it large corporations? A little mix of all? Where's that going right now?
I've zeroed in more on the entrepreneurs, and I'll even go so far as to say the solopreneur, or the really small business preneur, and a lot more times I find myself more gravitating towards those online entrepreneurs. Those folks that are either trying to create something with the knowledge set that they've gained over their time in whatever business that they're in, or even some storefrontpreneurs that are trying to step into. A gentleman I was talking to last week was like, hey, I want to sell apparel, and I was looking at his site and giving him some tips on that, because I spent many years in the apparel industry, and so just again doing some back and forth. So really, it's those folks that are trying to step in or like I say in the podcast and used it in the bio. They're trying to start, restart, or kickstart to level up their business. So really those solopreneurs and those smaller businesses like that.
And I love that tagline is awesome. It is phenomenal. And so here's one thing that is key in all business, and that is the ability to successfully market one's business. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
And it's interesting that I've been hearing this because of our recent pandemic, the closures, that a lot of companies are targeting their marketing and sales departments first when it's time to thin out their employee base. And I just shake my head wondering,
Right.
what are you doing? You're cutting off your own lifeblood here. I don't get it. I don't understand that. And one of the things you have done, you've stepped out and far out in a great way to market your business in so many different ways. And one of those is kind of how we met, was because you started up and you're now thriving with your own podcast, The Dark Horse Entrepreneur. Is that the right title, by the way?
It is Dark Horse Entrepreneur. Yes, sir.
And I love it. And you're now getting some great guests on your show or on your podcast. How is that working for you? Tell folks, would you recommend that people that are looking to take their business to the next level, that they also start up a podcast of their own?
You know, I would, and man, really, I definitely would. And I would say whatever medium works for them. So for some folks, just the ability to talk is challenging, right? I say forget about that. Go ahead and give it a shot anyway. But certainly, if that is a real challenge for you, maybe you need to move to something more written, like a blog or whatever, just to get warmed up. If you don't have a problem being in front of a camera, like obviously you don't, Brian, and obviously I don't. I'm sitting here too as well. You know, you could do a video version, but absolutely, I think a podcast, especially nowadays with everybody being home more with the current environment, using the amazing iPhone at our disposal and all the devices that we keep in our pocket, people can take you with them just about anywhere, whether they're out on their run, they're doing their workout, they're doing the dishes, walking the dog. I mean, it's really kind of an intimate experience if you think about it, because it's just you and them for the most part. As far as they're concerned, you're in their ears. You could be whispering, or you could be shouting from the rooftops, whatever message you have. And it may be not the immediate message of what it is you're trying to share. So for instance, you may here's a great example. There was a lady who I showed up on her podcast, and her podcast is about living through trauma, right? Surviving whatever trauma you've got. And I was trying to figure out how she's going to monetize this, right? And she has this amazing talent as an artist. So what she does after the end of the podcast is she reaches back out to you and says, hey, I would like to express your experience through art. And if you're interested, here's what I'm thinking as a piece of art that may fit what I heard you tell me on during your interview. And then she can emotion into a piece of art, which of course you would purchase. And I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. There's an artist, the way they call them, starving artists. Not this gal. Vera is rocking it. So yeah, I mean, to loop back around and answer your question, I think a podcast is a great medium. It's very intimate. I'll say it's easy. Obviously, it's not super easy. There's a few steps involved, and I think if anyone's going to step into that arena, consistency is going to be the key, right? If you're going to show up and tell them, I'm going to be here Monday morning every 2 weeks, then you be there Monday morning every 2 weeks. It's just like anything else in business, right?
Yeah, and I'm so glad you said that. There's a prominent entrepreneur. His name's Lewis Howes. He's a former professional football player that got injured and has really crushed it. And he's been interviewed by the biggest of the bigs on entrepreneurial stages and vice versa. And he was being interviewed, and he was asked a question about podcasting. And he said, the interviewer asked him, if you were to tell somebody, advise them on, they wanted to start a podcast. They said, I want to start a podcast. He asked them, what would you tell them? And he thought for a moment, and he got kind of serious, and he said, well, what I would say is if you don't plan on, number one, being consistent, like you just said, Tracy, and number two, and that's like once a week to do your podcast, you commit to that. Yeah. And number two, that you make that commitment for a full 2 years, then I recommend you don't even start.
Yeah.
And I was sitting, this was a recorded video I'm watching, and I almost applauded in my seat. Like, it is so true that it takes time. There is no instant gratification when it comes to building a business as far as like, hey, I'm going to build it. I'm going to be wildly successful in 6 months and I can just go onto the beach and chill. It doesn't work that way, ladies and gentlemen. And so I was so pleasantly surprised to hear someone just tell the truth like that. What are your thoughts on that? Taking a couple years to build up an audience and do everything that it takes to get a podcast going.
It's certainly a long-term play. I think really any good business is a long-term play, right? I mean, yeah, we've all heard the magic, rub the lamp and the genie pops out and there's money falling from the skies types of stories. But usually when you read and do a little research, those people that are the instant success, yeah, they failed 87 times before that. So really, they've been already doing the work that taught them all the lessons so that when they tried it one more time, they already had all the learning. So they were able to hit that one right on the head and everything happened. Oh, and by the way, all those other failures, yeah, they were building their list with that, getting to know people. So again, it's still a long-term play. I think anyone that steps into the podcast arena, the business arena, entrepreneurial arena, and thinks what you're saying, hey, I'm going to be chilling on the beach in 3 months. Yeah, I don't think so, unless you already saved the money and bought the tickets for that vacation. That's not going to be happening. You may get lucky. And don't get me wrong, it does happen. But really, it's about getting in, and like I was saying early, knowing your audience. Or learning them, right? If you may step into the arena, and I've seen this lots of times, where someone says, I'm going to go serve these people right over here. And as they start going down that path, they're like, oh, I really don't like those people over there. I like these people right, just a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left of them. You're like, oh, okay, well then let's go serve them. And then again, coming back and solving that problem. And then while they're there, they'll even find an even smaller niche, the tribe inside that subset of people and say, oh, these are the people I really like, right? They're just me and you. We're like this, right? We're just clicking. And so when you find that person or group of people, right, it's going to light you up. When you get up in the morning, the question you asked earlier, you get up in the morning, you can be like, oh my God, how can I go serve those people? And they'll be happy to tell you how, right?
And that's often, you're hitting on something that is so important. And that is that, be discerning as a business owner in who you choose to work with. Remember, you get the choice, and it is not just okay, but it's your responsibility to fire clients that are not in alignment with your values, or they're, you find these things out and you learn over time how to filter people up front and determine whether or not you wish to do business with them, either short or long term. Because in either case, if they're a pain in the rear, then they become basically a cancer to your business. Yeah. And I don't mean that in a horrible death way. It's just, it pulls down. It takes your energy. It takes your time. It takes your team's time. And it's just as important of getting a great new hire. It's also just as important to get a great new client. What do you think about that, Tracy? Do you agree with that?
It's funny you mentioned this, because I was just putting notes down for an episode that's dropping tomorrow morning on my podcast, all about Pareto's principle, right? Which we all know is the 80-20 rule, or we all know, I know, you know. But it's the whole principle of 20% of the results, all right, or 80% of the results are coming from 20% of the input, right? It's all about proving the disparity between input and output. When you apply that to business, like you were mentioning, be discerning on who you work with. 20% of your revenue, or 80% of your revenue, is going to come from 20% of your customers. So really, and I'll share this in advance. I'm happy to. It's coming out on tomorrow's podcast. This is awesome. You should fire 80% of your customers. Now, you go, whoa, wait, stop, Tracy. I can't fire 80% of my customers. Well, yeah, you should. Because those 80% of those customers that are only responsible for 20% of your business, they're taking up 80% of your time, 80% of your resources. They're the ones calling your tech line, your customer service line, and just sucking your system dry, right? And so now if you fire, quote unquote fire, or slowly exit those customers, now you can take that 80% of those resources and really focus on those 20% of those customers that are currently 80% of your business. Really fine tune and hone your message to them, your ability to serve them. Oh my gosh, once you start focusing your resources on that channel, you'll find new ways to be of service to them, and they'll be like, you say you'll be. I look over here because you're over on screen. Sorry. You'll be listening. You'll have the bandwidth to listen to your market better and go, oh, I have a solution for that, right? And they're now the same 20% are now be spending more money with you, and then that also helps you identify inside that 20% who's your real ideal client. And then don't get me wrong, don't stop filling the funnel, right? You got to keep putting people in the top of the funnel to come down and be a part of your sphere of influence. But now you're going to be refining that funnel to be like this, to really, really narrow down like this and say, now I'm not letting 100 people come through here. I'm letting 10. But those 10, they're going to be here for 2, 3, 4 years. And you're going to increase your wallet share with those clients as well.
Yeah, and music therapy, aka Jason Nast, I believe, says 80% of success is showing up, but you got to take action. That is the rest of the 20% that most people are missing. So true. And consistency is the key to success. Commenting on earlier, as we were going, Jason. Oh, it might be Jason Anderson. Which Jason are you? Tell me which Jason you are. I don't know a Jason on music therapy yet. We'll find out who the mystery Jason is. This will be fun. All right. And look, what Tracy just outlined, like he was saying, you might be going, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. You're telling me to get rid of, yes, Jason Nest. You're telling me to get rid of 80% of my clientele, but he just explained why. And yeah, sometimes that can be tough, but the key is getting better at the skill set of filtering your clients on the front end. And that can take time, and that's okay. So once you've got them and you notice that they're becoming kind of a pull and a drag on your business and they're taking more time than they should, then maybe it's time to say, you know what, let's do this one more month, but after that, I got to let you go, or whatever your business model is.
And I think in your arena of in your sphere of influence, you'll probably have people that they may resonate with this person over here, or Brian, right? I may say, you know what, you'll probably be better served working with this guy over here because he's got what you need. Where me, I'm quite not giving you what you need. So let me do you a favor and do this guy a favor at the same time, right? So now they're not walking away upset, right? They're walking away, oh, Tracy still helped me, even though he wasn't able to give me everything I wanted from him.
Exactly. Gosh, I mean, golden nugget after golden nugget. The thing is, go back to Tracy. Have you ever been to one of those seminars, networking seminar, entrepreneur seminar, multi-level marketing seminar, whatever it happens to be. And there's a lot of people around, and it's like before the event, during breaks, lunch and dinner. Mm-hmm. And then after the event, do you ever see those people running around with their business card, like a business card ninja, I like to call them? They're throwing them like stars.
Yeah.
The more they can get out, the better. Mm-hmm. And I love how you're just talking about, look, you're going to meet a lot of people in your life, and very few of them will have this alignment with you, number one. And number two, have a pain that you can directly solve, mm-hmm. a problem. And what Tracy just said is absolute pure gold. And that is, if, as you grow and as you get more connected, as you show up to more and more events, whether it's online or virtual or in person, which I like the in person better, and you develop these relationships, you're going to be able to hand people off to, I can't help you, but I do know somebody who could. Would you like me to connect you with them?
Right.
And I've done this same thing you're talking about, Tracy, so many times, and I do it. I love it because I can't help them. So why would I try to still sell them? I've had that happen too many times on the other end. And the cool thing is, years later, sometimes out of the blue, they'll say, hey man, I got something for you. And I'm like, wow, cool. I didn't do it for that, but I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. And it just works that way. It's amazing. Oh, Don Hopperit. Yes. Good evening from the Antelope Valley in California. Yes. Consistency is a must, along with flexibility. I'm constantly learning things every day. Yeah, Don is a true leader, and he's a person to follow. He's in my local area community, and he's, I think, president of a local chamber of commerce here. He's just unbelievable in how he's like the master connector of businesses, and he's always helping the businesses out. He truly is passionate about what he does. Thanks, Don. He comes on often, and I appreciate him, and I want to give him the love that's due here. My goodness, Tracy, man, you're bringing it tonight. This is phenomenal. I didn't expect anything different, but I'm excited. So I talked. I mentioned at the onset that I found 3 patterns to success in studying successful people. Do you agree that there is at least some patterns or even one pattern that you can follow to become successful, a successful entrepreneur that others could benefit from?
I think the pattern I keep seeing is for me, it's the folks I have identified as, well, I call this the most successful. They're themselves, right? They're not trying. I'm not trying to be Brian. Brian's not trying to be me. We're not trying to be somebody else. We're just being us. And so I think that's probably step 1 of the pattern. Step 2 is we're trying to honestly help. Now, are we trying to make a few dollars in the process? Well, yeah, I got to feed the kids. I got to pay for the house and the car and what have you. It's just, it's a barter system, right? You give me some cash, I give you some advice. And then, but it's still, you're still trying to bring that honest, there's an empathy there. And then I think after that, it's being persistent. I think for one, let's talk about the starting entrepreneur, right? You're going to have to have so much persistence. It's not even funny, because you're going to sit down today, or maybe you did it yesterday or a month ago, and you're going to write out your little plan. Okay, Tracy gave me this great advice. I'm going to go find my tribe. I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do that. And you're going to start taking the steps. And then you're going to find, oh, man, this is taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to, right?
Yes.
Why aren't people just lining up at the door, right? I put out 5 messages. Why aren't they coming back? You just got to keep at it. Keep on keeping on. I mean, any advertiser in the in the industrial world, in the regular world, we're talking about the Coca-Colas and the McDonald's of the world. They're at a point now where they're just keeping the message out there, right? They've already established their brand, and everyone wants to be like them. Well, you can't afford to be like them. You've got to go after your little niche, and you got to do it consistently until the person finally says, "Oh, hey, I'd like you to help me, please." I was talking to a lady, Dee Williams, and she focuses on people that want to start staffing agencies, right? Amazing lady, just brings the energy. It was coming off the screen as I was talking to her, right? But the thing was, she actually called this out. She has this sphere of information she puts out there. She puts out all this great content, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all over the place for free, right? And she puts out really good stuff. And she had this one lady that says, I've been following you for about 4 years now, and I think it's time for me to start my agency. And when she finally connected with her, she was ready to write a check right then. So the sales funnel was non-existent. She was just following the content, and when she was ready to buy, she raised her hand. She said, "Take my money, please." So I think it's going to be that you're going to be you. You're going to have to be you, and then truly want to help folks, and then be consistent about it.
That is, this is entrepreneur. This is the Bible, entrepreneur Bible right here. You're getting it from Tracy Brinkmann. He's giving you the Old and the New Testament version. This is phenomenal. My gosh, so much there. That especially the part where you said it often takes longer than you expect it will. I just started laughing because that just recently happened to me. And this by now, right, Tracy? We know that the second we want to embark on something, we just know it's going to take longer than we think, but not this time. So
exactly.
Recently, I came up with a solution of controlling this very show using Stream Deck as this device. And it's buttons that I press on a console instead of clicking my mouse all over this browser like multiple times. Mm-hmm. And it's a solution that's not provided yet by the actual vendor of the studio I'm using. And so people went crazy. I want it. I was like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have even said anything, because it took me a full weekend, a 20-hour weekend, to figure it out, test it, and make it work. Then I thought, to train on it, to create training, they go, can you just send me a video? I'm like, one video? Oh my gosh. I said, you know what? If I get enough people to say yes, I'll do it. But I really have to work on a bigger project. So if I don't get enough, well, a bunch, I got over 100 comments on this one post in a group. And so there's an end to the story. And I thought it'll take me 4 days. I can do this in 4 days. It took me 2 days to put it together. I'll double that. That'll work. It took me 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I finally got done just a couple nights ago and let it loose, and people are devouring it. But to your point, just stick with it. It's going to take longer than you ever imagined. You're just going to hit things that you couldn't have even foreseen. I mean, I'm in the process of creating a massive training program that's taken me 1.5 years. So I figured, it's only going to take me 4 days. I've already been doing this for 1.5 years. It still took me much longer than I ever thought it would possibly take. And so stick with it is the theme of what Tracy was talking about there just a moment ago. And I couldn't agree more. It is so important to stay the course, to be persistent. You said be authentic and be persistent. And those are two incredibly right between the eyes, perfect values that entrepreneurs, successful ones, need to embrace. And totally like Tracy does. You are like one of the most authentic people I've met. You're just so laid back, cool. You're just honest.
That's
you
right.
can just tell there's no fluff about you. You are you. And that's the beautiful thing about it. And I agree with you that there's a lot of people out there that are trying to be other people. Fake it till you make it. It's like, don't do that.
Right.
Just work your butt off till you make it, and be yourself the whole way through. And people are looking for that quick kill, instant gratification. While you may make 1 or 2 quick kills.
And I would love that too.
Yeah, but it doesn't work that way. It's not sustainable. It just doesn't work. And unless it's a really monstrous kill and you just don't want to do anything anymore. But a true entrepreneur loves to serve, like Tracy. And a true entrepreneur, even after Tracy makes $200 million, he's going to still want to serve people, and he'll use that money and scale and grow his business and help and serve more. That's a true entrepreneur spirit that I've seen time and time and time again. What would it be like, Tracy, if you hit this glass ceiling in entrepreneurship and there was no farther or better or more you could improve? You hit it. You hit the apex. I know it doesn't exist, but let's just, for fun, what would it feel like if you knew you could go no farther up to you? What would go through your mind at that moment? Like, how would that feel?
Oh, I think the struggle is I have a hard time imagining not being able to continue to lift up, right? I've always been one from way back when I was a kid to continue to improve myself. I know there's no top, but I don't even know if I can answer that question, because I can't imagine there being a ceiling, right? It would almost feel frustrating to me. I probably get that from my father. My father he was in the military for 23 years. And he retired from that and was getting, full pay and pension and medical, didn't have to work a day in his life. And he was in his 40s and he went back to work. He couldn't sit around. And then he retired from that and still was active in the VFW and just building things. He could not sit down. So I can't imagine there being a ceiling. And if there was, I'd probably be trying to find the tools to build the drill to drill through it, right? So put a crack in the glass so I could get through it, or maybe shine it up so it looks like a mirror, so it looks like, oh, I need to go this way now, right? I don't know.
I love it. Yeah, I when I first thought of that whole concept, I thought to myself, I would be depressed. I would be unhappy. I would not like that. There has to be some next step. And that's what I think the true lifeblood of an entrepreneur is always looking for. So, you have these victories along the way. You launch a product, you crush it, and you build it, you nurture it, you build a team around it. And then it's like, okay, what's next? What's next? Let's do something else. Let's do something next. Yeah. Let me build a team around that, have the team run that, and let me move on. I need to do more. I need to serve more people. Let's scale it up, take it to the next level. And if there ever was that glass ceiling, I love it. I love it. I'm going to find the tool to break through it. That's awesome. Perfect. Perfect. Hey, let's see. You have the Dark Horse Entrepreneur podcast. Now, is that for other entrepreneurs? What kind of people do you have on the show? What's a name that just comes to mind that you would love to talk about real quick?
Well, like I just mentioned, I had Dee Williams. You've been on there. We had David Meltzer, a big name. He started SP1 Sports Marketing, and made his money, lost his money, made his money, lost his money, and then made his money back, and now he's just giving. And we've had the Sales Samurai on. Zach is going to be coming on later this month. So, just lots of great folks. And I think one of the cool things, and this almost kind of comes back to should entrepreneurs or those are stepping in or already are entrepreneurs consider starting a podcast. If you're considering starting an interview style podcast, I would highly recommend it. Because for me, when I first started this, and this was my second podcast, I've done one before, but in this endeavor, I started doing this interview style, and I was bringing on these people that were, maybe at my level, maybe a little higher, maybe way higher, right? In the case of like a David Meltzer. What's really cool is while you're chatting with them, you're getting free advice. These are people that are charging thousands of dollars to have an hour's, consultation with them, and you're getting it for free. And they're like thanking you for having them on the show. You're like, no, thank you, really. I know when Dee Williams came on, she started dropping bombs. We chatted for about 2 hours, and I left almost all of it, in the actual episode that I aired. And I think I only cut out the part before I did her intro, and there was a little bit after we said goodbye. We chatted for another 15 minutes. I'm sitting there thinking, how do I kind of work this into the episode? Because it was so much more great information. So, you get these connections, and then if you're smart, you ask them, hey, do you know anybody else you think would be a good fit? And they're like, oh yeah, sure. Let me send Bob or Jill or Jane your way. And now you're stepping up. But again, you're really getting great advice from people who've walked the walk and are traveling the path ahead of you, maybe miles ahead of you, maybe 1 day or 1 month ahead of you. And I'm sucking it all up going, oh, yes, I'm going to take that tip and I'm going to start doing that tomorrow. And it has advanced my launch of the podcast really fast. And I don't know if it's about name recognition or anything, but it's certainly taken all those little tips and going, all right, I got to do that. And then executing, like you were saying earlier. Don't just write it down. Go take some action. Get up out of your bed and go, I'm doing that today.
Yeah, and if it's just taking out your phone and recording the first one, look, you want to have high quality. And we all get that. But if you are putting things off because, I haven't bought the right microphone or I don't have a powerful enough computer or this, and you're using those as crutches and excuses, then you may never get started. So start practicing. Do an interview style with a friend. That's what I did. Jason Nast, who was on just a moment ago, commenting. He's the sponsor of this show, by the way, thebiginsidersecrets.com, his company. And that's what I did. I just said I hadn't done a live interview for a long time, a live TV like interview like we're doing right now, Tracy. So about 1.5 years when I first started this show, he was my first guest on that new show that I had going. And I had some technical issues, but he was a friend. And so it didn't matter. It was okay. You have to just get started, just get going.
And I think, again, in the case of the medium of podcasting, I think people are a lot more forgiving in that medium, right? Obviously, you don't want to sound like this or anything, but, you certainly want to come off, as good as you're able to. But people are a lot more forgiving when it comes to that medium. And the medium is a lot more flexible than I think most people realize. There are a lot of free ways to get your podcast started. There's a lot of platforms out there to give you something for free or a version of it for free. If you want it, like you were doing it, hey, I'm just going to pick up my phone. I'm going to start talking to someone on Facebook Live. All right, well, let's bring them on. StreamYard's got a free version. You could do that all for free. And then if you're worried about the audio quality, well, guess what? There's a program, if you're on a PC, called Audacity. Free, right? Yeah, now you're going to invest a little time. There's where you give up the free. And if you're on a Mac, did I say that word out loud? There's, I think it's called GarageBand, which is very much the same thing. Again, it's free. You can go in there. There's about 3 or 4 tweaks that you'll do that will, make it sound as good as possible. And you put it out there. and people start resonating with you and hear your message, and you're like, damn, that works. Here's a really cool thing. If you're watching the numbers on the shows that you do, be they Facebook Lives or shows like this or podcast shows, you'll start figuring out someone really likes that particular message, and you'll start feeling a trend, and you can maybe drop another version of that message in a later show to prove it, and then you'll watch the numbers go up again. You're like, I'm on to something here. I started seeing on this latest podcast, I was doing an interview episode, and then I started adding in a solo episode. And I thought for sure I'd get some traction with the interview episode, leveraging their audience to come on and get my name out there. And of course that works. But I started seeing the spikes happening on my solo episodes. And I thought, well, wait a minute. People are resonating with this. And they weren't short. They were like 30-minute episodes. So people were investing some time in this, probably at 82% listen rate. And I'm like, okay, let me try this. And I announced 2 weeks in advance, you know what? Starting September 27th, I'm going to do daily episodes, Monday through Friday. They're going to be short, 15 minutes long. I'm not asking for a whole lot of your time, but I'm going to be dropping every day something actionable that you could put into play to improve your business, improve your relationships, or improve your mindset. And to date, so far, those are being more listened. They're listening to every single one of those, almost more than they're listening to the interviews. Who knew? Wow.
Yeah, and that's one of the things with any type of advertising that you do, even with Facebook ads or any paid ads. You think you have the one that's going to crush it, and then you put three of them up against each other, and it was the crappiest one that you thought was the first one that crushes it. And you're like, how it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so it's important. Just you got to do what Tracy's talking about: is test things, split test them, figure out what works and what doesn't.
And pay attention to what you are doing. Watch the numbers. That's business 101 as far as I'm concerned. And I came up in the planning arena in corporate America, right? You planning and marketing, you're watching all those numbers. Oh, what caused that over there? Oh, what caused that over there? And then you pull out, make some hypothesis, and you test it. Okay, that's good. Let's try this. Okay, that's good. Let's try that. And just keep on rocking it.
And to your point about interview style, it is even with I would say even with fewer listens or fewer engagements on it, it's so powerful from a connection standpoint, like you were saying earlier.
Oh, absolutely.
With the people that, if you employ a strategy to keep upping the game and getting greater and greater, what I call influencers on your show, they, every person you meet, like Tracy, I just met Tracy, a month or two ago, we did a podcast together on your podcast. You interviewed me, right? And Tracy knows people. I know people. So he knows people I don't know and vice versa. And he knows some incredible people. He just gave out some great resources. I've had Les Brown on my show. The Les Brown. I mean, I'm still almost unbelievable. Yeah, that's like almost amazing. And he is the greatest guy. People, I got to see him behind the curtain, so to speak, before we start. We talked on the phone a couple of times prior to. And he's a sweetheart. He's an amazing man, 75 years old and going strong. Nice. But the point of all this is, I think everyone who has a business should start a show of some kind. I'm a kid. I like the live show video format because I call live video the genesis point of all marketing. In other words, you can't take a recorded audio and repurpose it into a live video. It's impossible. You can't do it.
Right.
And if you have a live video, you can repurpose it into everything else. I mean, it's just the beginning, the genesis point. But even if you don't go video, go podcast, do something, and you'll start growing. Like I said, start with a close friend. Jason Nast is such a dear friend of mine, and he's so connected. And so I started getting guests because of him. And then those guests I would ask for referrals from. And then it just kept compounding. And yes, it took 2 years to land Mr. Les Brown. It was worth every week of it. And as a result, so many great things come of this, Tracy. I know you can attest, there's connections with people. Clients have come as a result of this directly. This show has become, for me, an incredible lead magnet for my business, which I never thought would, that wasn't the intent when I first started. It just did. So anyone out there thinking of doing this, like Tracy's doing as well, I can't say it enough. I think you should jump in with both feet connect with Tracy, connect with myself. We'll help you out however we can. And this guy right here, he's a business coach. Come on now. Come on. He can help you. He can help you. So, oh my goodness, Tracy, we are near the end of this bad boy. I don't believe it.
No.
My gosh, that's just not right. Well, I like to close each show with a single question that I've asked all of my past guest experts. And it's really been phenomenal. It's been surprising and a little bit shocking, the responses that I get. It's a powerful question. It can be a little bit personal. Okay. And it's just blows my mind, the results it's brought in and the types of responses. But real quick, right before we do that, I did promise everyone that if they stuck with us live to the end, they would have a chance at winning a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort. Compliments of the Big Insider Secrets way up there. And here's the thing. Before I told you to take out notes and don't be distracted, well, now Tracy and I give you our express permission to take out that device known as your smartphone and pull up your text messaging app. Why? Because that is how you enter. Here we go. I'll put it up on the screen. What you want to do is, instead of typing in the name of that person you're going to text, instead there, type in this phone number. And that is 314-665-1767. So that's where you type in the name, 314-665-1767. And then where you go to type in that message, usually toward the bottom where you would put your emojis and all those good things. No emojis, just type in the words peak, that's P-E-A-K, dash or hyphen if you prefer, vacation. So it's peak dash vacation, and hit the send button. And then watch your phone for follow-up messages. There will be some directions for you to follow to be officially entered. Costs you nothing. Zero. Zilch. Follow the steps, and you'll be entered to win a random drawing, and you'll be one of those lucky people to win a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort, sponsored once again by the BigInsiderSecrets.com. Jason Nast and his wonderful team have given us this beautiful prize to give away each and every week, and we are blessed. Nice. Thank you so much, Jason and Big Insider Secrets, for that. Now back to the man of the hour, Tracy Brinkmann. So this question that I love to ask these incredible entrepreneurs that have been on my show, here's the thing, Tracy. When I ask the question, there is no such thing as a wrong answer. Okay. It doesn't exist. In fact, it's just the opposite of that. Is the only correct answer is yours. That's the personal part of it. I like that. That's it. It's unique to you. And so it's not getting into your personal life. It's just unique to you. What do you think of this, the answer to this question? And some have it like this. Some take a few moments. Either way, it's perfect for you because it's your answer. It's authentic and unique to you. So with all that wonderful hype and hoopla, are you ready?
Let's go.
Fantastic. Here we go. Tracy Brinkmann, how do you define success?
I like this question. For me, success is having the people around me that I love, right? And being able to give them what they want. And it's not always money based, right? A lot of times it's just, they just want to spend time with you, right? So having that ability to spend the time, in my case, it's my wife and my 3 beautiful girls, right? One of which had just got married, amen. So that was, being able to spend time with them whenever I'm able to, and then give them the things, and to get up in the morning and to know I'm doing what drives me, right? And that could be helping an entrepreneur, getting on the phone, texting with them, or just getting up and helping myself, right? Elevating myself to the next level. That is success. I think for me, being unsuccessful would be just the opposite, getting up, this, So yeah, it would be being able to give those that I care about what it is they want from me, right? And being able to fill my own cup, so that I can in turn fill their cup, and then again hand out to others what it is I've learned to help them be able to be the success as they define it.
Having people around you that you love and love you back, and helping other people. That is Tracy Brinkmann at his core. You heard it right here on the Mind Body Business Show. This is an amazing man. He has a gift to give away as well. We want to give this a little bit of time. So, Tracy, if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to bring up the website that reflects the gift you have in mind. And you can walk folks through that, and I'll put up the link as you go through. But
absolutely,
go ahead and take it away, my buddy.
So what we have here is, we'll call this a free reputation report. It just as it says on the screen there. You can drop in your name and your phone number, and this will be the phone number for your business. And then click on that little button that says, Get My Score. I don't need a credit card. I don't need any other information. And what it's going to do is it's going to go out there and search all across the web for reviews, all the links, everything that you could say Google is looking for your business, and it's going to put it together into a scorecard for you and literally give you a rating, kind of a school class-based scorecard ranked A to F, and then it's going to break down and detail what is driving that score, looking at maybe your reviews, looking at whether you have video, doing a quick analysis of your website. So it's going to give you this one-stop shop kind of review of, oh my gosh, here are things that are going great, and here are things that are not going so great. And then, if there are some opportunities, you can click on "Help me with this," and we'll click on that button. That will reach out to me, and I will reach back out to you to help you with any or all of those opportunities.
Fantastic. And for those of you watching, if you want to listen to a phenomenal podcast with incredible guests, I highly implore you also go over to darkhorseschooling.com, darkhorseschooling.com, and you'll see that on the screen as well. And definitely go there and subscribe. Subscribe on iTunes. Go to iTunes or Apple Podcasts and be sure to subscribe. Also give him a 5-star, whatever 5-star rating you think he's worthy of. That fits. Any 5-star rating will do. And also a quick review after you've listened to one of his episodes. You'll be driven to give him a great review. Support him, help him get the word spread out even farther and faster than he is today, because you can tell this is a genuine, authentic man who wants to help people. And why not help him to help more people? I think that's a beautiful thing. And I want him to absolutely crush it beyond where he's at today. He's very successful already. The more success a successful entrepreneur has that is like Tracy, then the more people they can help and serve. And you can tell that's what he is all about. So go ahead and also go over to darkhorseschooling.com and jump on his podcast, listen to him, subscribe. Whatever 5-star rating you choose would be perfect. And then write a nice review. Yes, I repeat that on purpose because he's worth it. It's phenomenal. So go ahead, do that. Any last parting words for our amazing folks out here, Tracy? Before I do that, is there one place you would like people to go to connect with you over those 2 websites we just visited?
The darkhorseschooling.com is the best place. Go on over there, like you were saying, and check out the podcast. Up on the upper right-hand corner, you'll see all the socials. Those will link you to all the different places out there. I'm happy to connect with folks on any of them. Feel free to reach out, tweet, Facebook, Insta. I reply. No bots allowed.
Love it. And to close the show out, I'd like to give my guest expert one last hoorah. Tracy, if you were to give one piece of advice to someone who is thinking about going down this path of entrepreneurship, just one piece of advice that you could think of that would help them to either decide whether they should or shouldn't, what would that be?
I think if you're considering it, you probably should. And then it's just a matter of, what medium do you want to step into? Do you want to step into audio? Do you want to step into video? Do you want to step into, written? And start there, and then start sharing what your heart is screaming to be shared. That's the easiest way to get started. You'll find your audience really fast. They'll start resonating with you, and they'll tell you what they want from you. Absolutely, you'll just have to listen.
And then I would follow that up by saying the next step is reach out to Tracy and ask him to be your coach and see if you're a fit.
Absolutely. I actually have a space open. I'll be welcome.
There you go. And I'm not kidding. Take action. There's nothing more important than getting a mentor or coach, especially in the beginning. Something very few of us have done. I didn't, and it ended up costing a lot of time. So I'm serious. reach out to Tracy and say, hey, I want to start. What does it take to be coached by you? I want to do it.
There it is.
Go ahead and do it.
Happy to hear from you.
All right, Tracy, thank you so very much for coming on and being on with us late into the evening for you. I appreciate you so much. What incredible value and nuggets all throughout this hour plus. We went a little over time, but that's the beauty of live. We're not a radio station. We don't have to cut it right at the end. But I just want to say once again, thank you for coming on and sharing your incredible gifts with our audience. I appreciate you, my brother.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely. On behalf of this amazing man, Tracy Brinkmann, I am Brian Kelly, your host of the Mind Body Business Show. And I can't wait to see you again next week on another incredible episode. Until then, so long and be blessed, everyone. Bye-bye now. Thank you for tuning in to the Mind Body Business Show podcast at www.themindbodybusinessshow.com. My name is Brian Kelly.